Tonight on News Prime, Vice President Shettima says corruption Nigeria's greatest threat. Other business experts raise concerns as global downturns hit Nigeria. Other first seen Trump may fine immigrant $998 for flouting the deportation order. And on sport news, referees to wear body cameras at Club World Cup. Hello and welcome to News Prime on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Deacon Michael. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV, channel 365, in StarTimes, channel 276, free-to-air, and Nicomsat. We'll begin tonight from the presidency, and Nigeria's Vice President, Senator Kashim Shettima, says corruption, not the absence of federalism, is the country's major problem. Shettima spoke as a keynote speaker at the 17th edition of the Leadership Annual Conference and Award held at the State House Banquet Hall, Abuja. Also listed the mismanagement of the country's resources as another factor that has retarded the nation's progress over the years. The Vice President faulted those who believe the nation's federalism is not working, insisting that there is no perfect federalism anywhere in the world. The Vaccine Network for Disease Control has called on the federal government and key stakeholders to prioritize sustainable vaccine financing in Nigeria. Speaking at the press conference in Abuja, the organization praised the federal government's progress in addressing vaccine financing gaps, especially the allocation of over 231 billion naira in the 2025 national budget for immunization, malaria vaccination, and vaccine tracking. Queen Agaba has the details.
In commemoration of World Health Day, the Vaccine Network for Disease Control addressed the rapid investment case and economic analysis for immunization in Nigeria. The network warns that with the exit of major donors such as USAID, Nigeria's immunization programs are more vulnerable than ever, warning that recent gains in immunization could be reversed without immediate action. Speaking on the achievements of the network, the CEO, Vaccine Network for Disease Control, Dr. Chika Oluwafemi Ofor, reveals that while the vaccines have saved millions of lives and are central to the network development, Nigeria is still one of the world's highest number of zero-dose children.
So vaccine for me is a miracle. So, and is the simplest, easiest way to combat disease through prevention. So, and because of that, I think that it is necessary for the country to prioritize it. Right now, it has been difficult because vaccine is under the service-wide vote, competing with other things. So, it becomes difficult. But if vaccines are moved to first-line charge, it means that immediately after budget, the next thing is for vaccine funds to be released. And immediately they are released, they are used to buy vaccines immediately. So this is where the problem is. Because it's in service-wide votes, but begging the government, appealing to the government to move it to first-line charge. So that it becomes predictive, you can plan for it.
The Vaccine Network for Disease Control therefore called on the federal, state and local government and relevant stakeholders to actively support vaccine financing. The organization emphasizes that a healthy population drives economic growth.
We are not just implementing yet another project. This project is a passion for Vaccine Network because we are advocating for the lives of these children. So we are pleading and urging the government of Nigeria. Yes, we know that funds might not be enough, but we also know that our government is capable because they are absolutely interested in the health sector.
The organization further appealed to the federal government to release all pending allocations for immunization service in the country and ensure timely disbursement and sustainability. For Global Television, Queen Agaba reporting.
And now the United States-based Institute of Law Research and Development has called on President Bola Tinubu to reverse the suspension of Governor Similayo Fubara of Rivers State, warning that failure to do so could irreparably damage his legacy. The institute said such a decision undermines democratic principles and threatens Nigeria's constitutional integrity. A statement by Professor Cyprian Edward Ekpo, Director of the Institute and Professor of International Environmental and Public International Law, noted that a suspension along with the subsequent declaration of state of emergency in Rivers State could set a dangerous precedent for the country's democracy. Senator representing Kogi Central, Natasha Akpo-Otiuduaghan, has filed a 5 billion naira suit against her colleague, Senator Onyekachi Nwaibonyi, who represented Ebonyi North Central District over alleged defamation. The suit filed by Akpo-Otiuduaghan through her lawyer Michael Onoma at the Federal Capital Territory High Court seeks to declare as false and malicious statement made by Nwaibonyi during an interview. And our Borno State Governor Babagana Zulum has lamented the resurgence of Boko Haram in the state, saying the recent renewed attacks are an indication that the government is losing ground. Zulum discloses during a special expanded security meeting in the government house, which saw the attendance of General Officer Commanding 7th Division Major General Babakar Haruna, Sector Commanders, Commissioner of Police, heads of other security agencies and traditional rulers. The governor expressed dissatisfaction with the current security situation of the state, while insisting that the renewed Boko Haram attacks and kidnappings in the many communities almost on a daily basis without confrontation signals the Borno state is losing ground. And now the Executive Vice Chairman of the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, Dr. Aminu Maida, has reassured telecom users that the Commission is committed to fostering a fair, transparent, and a consumer-centric telecommunications landscape. Dr. Maida, represented by the Executive Commissioner's Stakeholder Management, Remy Makama, spoke at Industry Consultative Forum hosted by the Commission in Abuja. The forum was held to present a regulatory instrument being developed to address the issues of unutilized and unclaimed recharges for airtime and data for telecom consumers. And now back to the FCT. A total of 198,810 residents of the Federal Capital Territory were enrolled into the Federal Capital Territory Health Insurance Scheme in the last 1 year, including 10,065 pregnant women who were registered free. The FCT Minister, Nyesom Wike, Senior Special Assistant on Public Communications and Social Media, Larry Olaika, said in a statement that the inception of the Wike-led Federal Capital Territory Administration significant increase had been witnessed in the FHIS enrollment, with over 100% of annual enrollment targets of 20,000 lives per annum, surpassed by the 17% and 44%. The federal government has commenced the national review of the new renewable energy curriculum in the country's higher institutions of learning. A review of the curriculum is aimed at reshaping how technical education equips future professionals for the clean energy revolution. The Executive Secretary of the National Board for Technical Education, Professor Idris Bogaje, disclosed this in Abuja at an event on the overhaul of the National Diploma Program in Renewable Energy and the development of the two new higher National Diploma Programs, one in Solar Photovoltaic and another in Solar Thermal Technologies. The Presidential CNG Initiative announced it plans to deploy 150 new compressed natural gas refilling stations across the country in the next 18 months. In a press conference held at the Presidential Villa in Abuja, Chief Executive Officer of the initiative, Michael Olawabibi, noted that the initiative is committed to making access to CNG refilling easier. Olawabibi, referring to the planned deployment of the 150 new CNG refilling stations, said that to further bolster their base infrastructure, we have coopted private sector partners to deploy over 150 new refilling locations in the next 18 months. Away from that, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory has met with the suspended members of the Rivers State House of Assembly. He also the suspended lawmakers for a dinner in the United Kingdom. This followed his earlier meeting with some of his political allies in Port Harcourt, the Rivers State's capital. The chairman of Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, has presided over the Commission's weekly management meeting hours after fake news merchants announced his sack on social media. A viral WhatsApp message had earlier indicated that Professor Mahmood was sacked and replaced by Professor Olamilekan. You're watching the live broadcast of News Prime, where News Prime returns. Moscow welcomes US-Iran nuclear talks. We have the details coming shortly, plus business and sports stories on the other side of the break. Please stay with us. Welcome back, and on to business news. The United States Trade Representative criticized Nigeria's import ban on 25 categories of goods, claiming that the restriction limit market access for American exporters. And this came shortly after President Donald Trump introduced a tariff on goods entering the U.S., with Nigeria facing a 14% duty. The United States Trade Representative highlighted the impacts of Nigeria's import ban on various sectors, particularly agriculture and the pharmaceuticals, beverages, and consumer goods. The Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria has engaged with the Comptroller General of the Nigeria Customs Service, Adewale Adeniyi, in resolving the impending aviation workers' strike in a protest against the conduct of its officers at the Lagos Airport. The branch chairman of the Air Transport Services Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria, John Obey, disclosed this in an interview. Nigeria's economy is placed on the edge over the ravaging impact of the United States of America. President Donald Trump's administration tariff, which is wreaking havoc on global stocks and economies. Economists and financial experts have raised an alarm over further economic wars in Nigeria triggered by the shockwaves of the global trade war. Now, specifically, experts warn that the ongoing global trade tension will affect Nigeria's 2025 revenue targets following the declining oil prices, stocks, and exchange rates depreciation. When I head to the foreign scene, as United States President Donald Trump is planning to fine immigrants under deportation orders up to $998 a day if they fail to leave the United States, and seize their property if they do not pay. The fines stem from a 1996 law that was enforced for the first time in 2018 during the first term in office. The administration reportedly plans to apply the penalties retroactively for up to 5 years, which could result in fines of more than $1 million, considering the seasoned property of immigrants who do not pay the fines. Now, the United States has described China's retaliation against a tariff a big mistake, as the global trade war ignited by President Donald Trump's sweeping levies showed a few signs of abating, even as the global market steadied after days of carnage. China refused to bow to what it called blackmail after Trump threatened to ratchet up tariffs on U.S. imports from the world's #2 economy to more than 100%. In response to China's decision to match the reciprocal duties, Trump announced last week China's fast and headline approach contrasted with more emollient moves by other Asian countries. Moscow welcomed upcoming nuclear talks between the United States and Iran after Washington and Tehran made a shock announcement that high-level discussions were scheduled for Saturday. As U.S. President Donald Trump says, the United States is starting direct talks with Iran over its nuclear program during a meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. To Sport News, referees at this year's Club World Cup will be equipped with body cameras and instructed to implement new rules to cut down on time wasting by goalkeepers, FIFA announced. The use of the cameras will be on a trial basis after they were approved last month by the IFAB, the sports lawmakers. Chairman of FIFA, our referees committees, Prilogi Colina, said the use of the body camera is to offer the viewers a new experience in terms of images taken from a perspective, from an angle of vision, which was never offered before. Bayer Leverkusen forward Victor Boniface missed training due to illness. Boniface is, however, expected to be available for Saturday's clash with Union Berlin, according to the Work South Extra. Down the Nigerian international star started their Work South's win at the Adiahem last weekend. More on that, multiple media outlets says the Toronto Blue Jays and the the Vladimir Jr. have agreed to the 14-year $500 million contract expansion. The deal reportedly includes no deferred money, making it the second most valuable contract in present value in the major, surpassed only by Juan Soto's 15-year $765 million deal reached in December. Now, as we wrap up the news from, let's take a look at the top stories. Told you earlier that the Borno State Governor Babagana Zulum has lamented the resurgency of Boko Haram in the state, saying that the recent renewed attacks are an indication that the government is losing ground. And the business, the United States Trade Representative on criticized Nigeria's import ban on 25 categories of goods, claiming that the restriction limit market access for American exporters. And on the foreign scene, we told you United States President Donald Trump is planning to fine immigrants under deportation orders up to $998 a day if they fail to leave the United States and to seize their property if they do not pay. Our sport news: referees at this year's Club World Cup will be equipped with body cameras and instructed to implement new rules to cut down on time wasted by goalkeepers, FIFA announced. And that's our package here on News Prime, coming to you live from the nation's capital. A quick reminder, we are on DSTV channel 365 and StarTimes channel 276, free to air. And of course, kindly follow us on all social media platform at Global TV NG. You can also download the Global TV Nigeria mobile app for Android and iOS devices to keep track of our broadcasts. I'm Medical Michael on behalf of the entire production team. We say thank you for joining us here on News Prime. See you again.